Not long after Albert Hofmann became the first human to ingest LSD, Sandoz delivered a cache of the drug they would trademark as illicit to a Swiss psychiatrist Werner Stoll, the son of Hofmann's boss, for human testing. The younger Stoll's test subjects would include both healthy volunteers and mental patients. Stoll even took it himself and reported a staggering experience that sounded something like riding a roller coaster through bursting fireworks. He went from euphoria to depression and back several times. At one point he said, "I felt myself one with all romanticists and dreamers, saw the maelstrom of Poe. Often I seemed to stand at the pinnacle of artistic experience. I luxuriated in the colors of the altar of Isenham and knew the euphoria and exultation of an artistic vision." At another he reported, "I was depressed and thought with interest of the possibility of suicide. With some terror I apprehended that such thoughts were remarkably familiar to me. It seemed singularly self-evident that a depressed person commits suicide." Here, in spades, was the LSD duality that Hofmann had discovered. In fact, Stoll reportedly told other researchers in personal communications that one of the subjects of his study, given the drug without her knowledge, committed suicide shortly thereafter. The devastating effects of a completely inexplicable psychic disruption were too much for her, one researcher says Stoll told him. If true, no mention of it was made in his formal report on the trial results, which noted primarily the ways in which LSD prompted something like a temporary insanity in the healthy subjects given the drug. He concluded that the new drug might be useful in the study of psychosis, which had proven so resistant to treatment and difficult to understand. As an aside, interesting considering the potency of his own experience, he suggested that mental health professionals might find it useful to spend a few hours inside the world of the psychotic by taking the drug themselves. The bizarre effects and awesome power of LSD provoked a sensation in the scientific world when Stoll's study was published in 1947. Sandoz sent samples of LSD to psychiatric research institutes, university departments, and individual therapists, asking them if they would be interested in experimenting with the new substance. One of these packages arrived at the School of Medicine of Charles University in Prague, where a 23-year-old medical student named Stanislav Grof was assigned to babysit the study subjects for the 6 to 8 hours during which they would be under the influence. "I was fascinated by what I saw and heard and was eager to volunteer for a session myself," Grof wrote of the experience. "Unfortunately, to my great dismay, the faculty board decided that students should not be used as experimental subjects." The moment Grof was no longer a student, immediately after graduation, he volunteered for an LSD study. He wasn't disappointed. One thing became immediately apparent. This was no mere temporary insanity. As he recalled in a 1990 Yoga Journal interview, "I couldn't believe how much I learned about my psyche in those few hours. The sheer intensity of the array of emotions I felt simply amazed me. I was hit by a radiance that seemed comparable to the epicenter of a nuclear explosion, or perhaps the light of supernatural brilliance said in Oriental scriptures to appear to us at the moment of death. This thunderbolt catapulted me out of my body. First, I lost my awareness of my immediate surroundings, then the psychiatric clinic, then Prague, and finally the planet. At an inconceivable speed, my consciousness expanded to cosmic dimensions. I experienced the Big Bang, passed through black holes and white holes in the universe, identified with exploding supernovas, and witnessed many other strange phenomena that seemed to be pulsars, quasars, and other amazing cosmic events." Later he wrote, "I was able to see the irony and